So, in your red books, please, can you write the title of today's lesson, which is Area of a Quadrilateral and Triangle. Okay, so write that down in your books, Area of a Quadrilateral and Triangle. Okay, hopefully you got that down. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to write down some definitions of what area is. Okay, so area, let me zoom in on that. Area is the amount of space inside a 2D shape. So area is the amount of space inside a 2D shape. So we usually do this in centimeters squared. It could be meters squared. Sometimes you just write units squared if you don't know what they are.
Sorry, sir.
Yes.
Is it only a 2D shape, or can the area be inside a 3D shape?
No, for the 3D shape, it'd be volume.
Oh, yeah, because it's got more depth.
That's it, yeah. So you've got volume, so it's just for 2D shape for area, and then volume's going to be 3D shape.
Oh, right then, thank you.
Everybody got that down? CJ?
So, does that say unit squared or just unit?
It does say unit squared, sorry, yeah. Now, there's going to be a few that we focus on today. With the ones we're going to focus on are quadrilaterals and triangles. So let's do the area of a rectangle first of all. So write in your book, area of a rectangle we should know what the area of a rectangle is. So there's a rectangle. We know that it's going to be length down here, and width over here. And the area of a rectangle is equal to length times by width. So get that down in your notes. That's your first one. Now you will need to know all of these. And you'll need to know them off by heart as well. So that's the area of a rectangle. The next one we're going to look at is the area of a parallelogram. So I'm going to draw what a parallelogram looks like. So a parallelogram is a little bit like a rectangle or a square, but it's been tilted like this. So it looks like that. Now mine's not very good there. Might try and draw it again actually. I can do a better one than that. Make sure you're using a ruler. Oh. There's my parallelogram. So we know that the base of a parallelogram is this part here. This bit here is the base. Now the thing that we need is we need the vertical height here, or the perpendicular height. Now remember, perpendicular means right angle. So this here is the height. And you always ignore the slanted lines here. So you ignore this slanted line here. It's just the base and the perpendicular height that you need here. And the area of this, let's get this one down. The area is equal to the base, so the base there at the bottom, times by that height there. The base times by the height. So we've already got 2 there. Now these are very similar. The area of a rectangle is the length times the width. The area of a parallelogram is the base times by the perpendicular height. I'll give you a second to get both of those down. There are 2 more that we need to do. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Which is the area of a triangle. Harry, you okay?
Oh, sorry about that, sir. Isn't the formula base times height divided by 2?
The area of a triangle? Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. I'm going to go through it now. Yeah. So if I draw my triangle, here it is.
Thank you.
No worries. So here's your triangle. Now again, it's this base here that's important. But the important part is it's the perpendicular height here. So it's this one here, the perpendicular height, which is really important. So it's the base times by the perpendicular height. And again, very similar to the parallelogram over here, we ignore the slanted lines. So it has to be the base and the perpendicular height. Now these need to be at right angles to each other. So we'd ignore the slanted line. Now, don't be too confused. Sometimes you'll get it that it looks like this. Now, you might think to yourself, where's the base and the height on that one? Well, the height on this one is going to be this part here. This is the height. And actually, the base is this one here on this, and it's worth getting this down as well. Now, the important part is that they are perpendicular to each other. And exactly as Harry said, the area of this one is equal to base times by height, all divided by 2.
So what's the bottom one? Is that still a triangle?
It's still a triangle that's been turned around. So if you wanted to, you could do a little arrow on that so you can show it's just the triangle that's been turned around.
Thanks.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So yeah, I've just turned it around to show that sometimes the base can be on the left. Now I've done 3 so far. There's one more that I'm going to go through. And this one here is the area of a trapezium. Area of a trapezium. Now a trapezium looks like this. Now you might think to yourself, oh, that looks like a little bit like a parallelogram or a little bit like a rectangle, but the top and the bottom are different lengths. So this one here, so this A and this B are different lengths. Now if that happens, and you've got this trapezium where they're different lengths, the way I like to think about it is that you are basically, you're averaging out the top and bottom. You're averaging out these lengths. Now, how do you find the average of something? If I said to you the mean, how do you find the average of that? See some people typing. You add them together and divide by the amount. Yes, that's exactly it. So with this one here, you add A and B together. So to find the area of a trapezium, is equal to the top and the bottom added together. So A plus B divided by 2, average them out. But then don't forget, usually we need to divide by the, usually we need to times by the perpendicular height, and it's exactly the same here. This perpendicular height here, called h, is what we need to times by. So we times by the perpendicular height. Okay, so I'm just going to go back and we're just going to recap all of those because we are going to need to know all of those now. So the first thing we had was the area of a rectangle, which is there. And that's length times by width, just like so. The area of a parallelogram, very similar, but it's slanted like this. And that's base times by the perpendicular height. Now the triangle is very similar to a parallelogram, but the difference is it's been cut in half. So it's base times by the height divided by 2. Now, it's probably worth putting in your notes here. Don't forget to divide by 2. This is really important. Everybody always forgets to divide by 2 of a triangle. They just see it and times the sides, okay? And then this bottom one, for the area of a trapezium, is going to be, well, we need to average out those two sides. So it's going to be A plus B divided by 2 times by that perpendicular height, which is H. Okay, so we've done those 3 now. You should have those in your red books. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to have a go at some of these. Now, some of these are quite easy. Some of these are trickier. I'm pretty sure you'll find them all pretty easy. I'll do the one on the left. You do one on the right. And then we'll go from there. So this one here is a rectangle. We can see that. So thinking back, how did we do the area of a rectangle? Well, the area of a rectangle was length times width. So this one here is really straightforward. It's just, if I get this down in your red books, make sure you're doing it. It's just 3 Give me a second. So this one here is going to be, the base is 3, so we write down here 3 times by 10. Really straightforward. And we know that 3 times by 10, length times by width, the area is 30 centimetres squared. £30 cm². So get that one down in your red book, as example 1. Now, CJ, you okay?
So you know when we answer the questions on the right, do you want us to do it in the red book as well or the left?
Great question. I was thinking about this. I'm not really sure. Maybe just do them in your. Maybe do the ones on the left in your red book, and the ones on the right you can do in your blue book. Unless you've got a whiteboard at home.
Yeah, I got one at home. I got the one you gave me.
Yeah, in fact, that's a great idea. Use the one I gave you.
Okay. All right.
Harry, you okay? Still got your hand up there. So do that one on the right then. How would you do that one on the right? I'll give you a little second. So, somebody want to tell me how to do that one on the right? Go on, Ben's already done it. 4 times by 12, which is equal to, so 12 times by 4, which is equal to 48. Be careful with this. Notice that the units on this one here are meters squared because we did meters times by meters. Absolutely brilliant. So, there you go. There's the first two. So 30 centimeters there, the one on the left, and 48 centimeters, the one on the right. Brilliant. So, next up, we've got the area of the parallelogram. Now remember, if you look back in your notes, the area of the parallelogram is base times by the perpendicular height. Now in this one here, your base is going to be actually that one there. Look, notice that it's turned round, and your perpendicular height is this one here. So it's still not too tricky. This one here is literally just going to be 2 times by 4, which in this case is equal to 8 centimetres. Spot on. Yes, it's a great question. If it was centimetres and metres, you'd need to change one of them to either centimetres or metres. That's exactly right, yeah. So, on the right-hand side, you can see that we've got this one. Have a go at that one on the right-hand side. Irvin, you okay? You're not joining up the 4 line, you just know that there's the perpendicular height. Notice that it's not the slanted line here. The slanted line, it's literally perpendicular to that 2. So there's your 4, and it's perpendicular to that, like so. So how would you do that one on the right hand side then? Who can type the answer for that one? Yeah, that's exactly it, yeah. So it's going to be 8 times by 10, which is equal to 80 centimetres squared. Absolutely perfect. Alright, so the next one, let's have a look at this. Now, what does everybody always forget to do with a triangle? What did I always say people forget to do? Divide by 2, that's exactly it, yeah. So let's just make it really clear here. The area of a triangle is equal to your base times by the height, all divided by 2 there. It's the base times by height divided by 2. And in this case, your base in this one, again, sorry, this the one on the left-hand side now, I want you to be getting this in your red book. Get it in your notes. The base is 2. The perpendicular height is equal to 4, so times by 4, then divided by 2. So you've got base times by height divided by 2. In this case, it's going to be 2 times by 4, which is equal to 8, then divided by 2. 2 times 4 is 8, divided by 2 is equal to 4 centimetres squared again. Okay? Make sure you get that one on the left-hand side on in your book. So have a go at that one on the right-hand side if you haven't started it already. So let's have a little go at that one on the right-hand side then. Again, what do people always forget to do? They always forget to divide by 2. So with this one here, it's going to be 10 times by the 3. Don't forget to divide by 2. And 10 times by 3 is equal to 30. Divided by 2 is 15 centimetres squared. Brilliant. Well done to all those who got it right. So there's your answers if you want to check them. So we've done rectangle, we've done parallelogram, we've done a triangle. The next thing we're going to be looking at is the trapezium. Now notice that the one on the left and the one on the right, it's just been turned around, hasn't it? Now actually, it's all about knowing which one, the A, B and the height. So in this one here, your A and B are this 6 and 2. Okay? On the one on the right, and not to give you a hint before you do it, but the A and B is going to be this one and this one here. Now I am going to write down what the formula is for this, which was A plus B divided by 2 times by H. So this one here is going to be 6 plus 2 divided by 2 times by that perpendicular height, which is going to be this one here, which is 6 there. So times by 6. Now you can do this on your calculator if you want. You can also do it in your head. And you remember to do the brackets first, then divide it by 2, and then times it by 6. So it's going to be 6 plus 2 is 8. Divided by 2 is 4. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 times by 6 is going to be 6, 12, 18, 24. All those answers flying in. 24, brilliant. So that one there, 24 centimetres, brilliant. Have a go at that one on the right hand side, and then once you know the answer, type it into the chat. I noticed that everyone's just going to copy in the chat now, aren't they? Remember to show you're working as well. You have to excuse my scrubby pen writing. My pen's just run out of battery. Okay, so let's move on to the next one then. Let's do it. So it's going to be 6 plus 9 all divided by 2 times by 9 there, like so. So this one here, 6 plus 9 is equal to 15. Divided by 2 is equal to 7.5. 7.5 times by 9. I'm not going to be able to do it. I can do it in my head, but I'm just going to check anyway. 7.5 times by the 9 is equal to 67.5 centimetres squared. Brilliant. Well done if you got that right. So, we're going to have a look at some trickier ones now. Now these, to be honest, they aren't that much trickier. They just look trickier because they're on a graph. So, have a look at this one here. We know what the formula for a parallelogram is. So it's just going to be the base times by the perpendicular height. And that's it. Alright, so with this one here, we know that the base of this one here is going to be, remember the area of a parallelogram is just the base times by the perpendicular height. And in this case, the base is 1, 2, 3, 4 across. So it's going to be 4 times by, now it's the perpendicular height which is important here, which is going to be this one here. And that's 2 height, so it's going to be 4 times by 2, which is equal to 8 centimeters squared, because the parallelogram is base times by perpendicular height. Can anybody tell me what shape this one is here? Now look at this. Very similar to the one we've just done. Go on, CJ, what is it?
So how did you get 4?
How to get the 4?
Yeah.
It's because the base of the parallelogram is, I'll show you here, look, it's across 1, 2, 3, 4 across there, and the height is 2 up.
I thought you meant like all the way by X. Like
No, it's the base of it, which it's exactly the same, it just looks a little bit trickier, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
So what, this one here is a trapezium, yeah? And now this one here, the top is A, the bottom is B, and the perpendicular height in this is going to be this one here. So what is A then? A is, how many across is A? 3, yeah, brilliant. So it's going to be 3 plus, what is B? Don't worry about writing this one out. We'll just do these ones as examples. Yeah, I'm going to set you a Dr. Frost in a second. 3 plus 1, yeah, good. Remember, we're averaging them out, so divided by 2, and then times by the perpendicular height, which in this case is 1, 2, 3, 4 up. So 3 plus 1 divided by 2 times by 4. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Divided by 2 is 2. 2 times by 4 is 8. So the difference with this, I'm going to give you some of these to do on Dr. Frost in a bit, or I'm going to set you some of these in a second. The only difference is that it's on a graph or a squared paper, and you've got to count the sides on it to work out the area. That's the only difference. And obviously the hard part is that you've got to recognise which one's which. CJ, you're the only one unmuted then.
Sorry, sir. It was like what's it called? The hand was already on it.
So, this is the last little one to do, and then I'm going to set you a task on Dr. Frost. So here, the difference with this one here is it's very, very simple. It's not hard. You've just got to split it up. So if it was me, I'd probably split it up straight across there like so. And then this one here is a rectangle with length 12 and height 5. Now the hard part here is knowing what the height of the triangle is. So if you know this full length here, in fact, do get this one down in your red books, please. Do get this one down in your red books. Do this one as an example, please. Brilliant, well done, Harry, you are right. I'm going to go through that now. So with this one here, we've split it up so you've got the rectangle and you've got the triangle. Now, you need to know what the base and the height of that triangle is. So if this here is 9, here, this length here, this full length here is 9, and this length here is 5, it means that the height of that triangle here, this part here, must be equal to 4. Because 9 all the way up, take away the 5, is equal to 4. In a very similar way, this base here, if you know it's 12 all the way across at the bottom, so this part here is 12, and this part here is 7, the base of this triangle is going to be 12 take away 7, which is equal to 5. 12 take away 7, which is equal to 5. Now that's tricky there. So let's work out. So on the side in your book, make sure you write down rectangle. Now notice I've done it in particular colour. Again, excuse my scruffy handwriting. I'd usually be using the pencil. So rectangle there. And the area of the rectangle is going to be the base, which is 12, times by the height, which is 5. And 12 times by 5 is equal to 60 centimetres squared. And then I'm going to do the triangle. So the triangle. Now remember, what do people always forget to do with the triangle? They always forget to divide by 2. So the triangle, the base is 5, times by the perpendicular height, which is 4, all divided by 2. Now 5 times by 4 is 20, divided by 2 is equal to 10 centimetres squared. Now we know that the area of the rectangle is 60 centimetres squared. We know the area of the triangle is 10 centimetres squared. So the last little part is you need to do to add them together. Now notice that this is 4 marks. This actually came up on a past paper question. It was in November 2008.
Sorry, sir.
Yes, Irvin.
Where did you get the 4 from inside there? Did you
the 4 is from the 9 all the way up there.
Yeah.
Take away the 5 here.
Makes sense.
Does that make sense? Because it's 9. If all the way up is 9, and that little bit there is 5, and it's 9 take away 5, which is going to be the 4 up.
All right then, yeah, that makes sense.
So then the last little part is going to be the 60 plus the 10. 60 plus the 10. The total area here is 70 centimetres squared. Brilliant. So, I've got some questions here for us to have a little go at. There's the answer to that, 70 centimetres squared. I've got some questions here to have a go at. I'm going to leave that one for now, because I do want us to have a go at some of these. So these are your questions, and what I have actually got these on Dr. Frost, so I'll set these for you on Dr. Frost. So if you've not looked at Dr. Frost, I'll just give me a second. Let me just show what the questions are. So here are the questions, and we've got some more here, like so. And then we've got the answers there. So that's for if you're catching up with this, because I'm recording this. So there's all the question answers. I'm going to set you them on Dr. Frost now. So I want you to complete these on Dr. Frost.